It's 11:13 p.m. right now. Yeah, I've sort of been spending the time since I got back from the Sterling Renaissance Festival just sort of playing on the computer, watching YouTube videos, and lurking the wiki on the old Congregate game. Caravaner 2, which is who knows how old. It might be as old as, from my guess, from 2012 to 2015. Hey, either way, it's a pretty old game on Congregate. The drive to and back from the Sterling Renaissance Festival was about an hour and a half. And the Sterling Renaissance Festival is in a pretty remote area. And it's surrounded by a pretty rural town. And pizza is something Dad bought, I think, earlier today at the latest. In Stronghold Kingdoms, I'm in the process of following the guide that my liege lord gave to me from a YouTube video that I can only find by checking the message that the message that they sent me with the YouTube link to that video. Otherwise, I can't really find it. Yeah, but I did that a while back, and ever since I've just been, following the guide from pausing the YouTube video. It's pretty much been paused ever since. The Sterling Renaissance Festival, it was just me and my mom. Mom drove me the hour and a half to the Sterling Renaissance Festival. I brought 2 of those blocks of styrofoam Dad got me, and plenty of Sharpie markers. But I didn't actually work on any styrofoam drawings during both the drive to the Sterling Renaissance Festival and on the way back. On the way there, I brought with me the open bag of the habanero, I think Tostitos, if I recall correctly, chips that Dad got the other day. Ooh. Plus 35 gems. That's a pretty rare prize. early on, I finished off the habanero chips. I was initially thinking of bringing the bag of combos, pizza flavored combos, but it's kind of taking Dad's groceries in a way. So that's what made me instead opt for the habanero chips because they were already opened. And this was for me to have something to tide me over until we got some food at the Renaissance Festival, of which we ended up getting, both me and Mom got a turkey leg. That's the first thing we did because I think we were between the start of a show. We were after the start of a show and before the start of another show, if I recall correctly. We spent most of our time at the Renaissance Festival waiting in line for food and then eating it. I, in particular, got a turkey leg drenched in barbecue sauce, and Mom got a turkey leg drenched in buffalo sauce. But in total, I ate about 1.5 turkey legs, which even for me is quite a bit. It said so on our guidebooks, which we can take for free upon paying for a ticket. That the turkey legs are quote-unquote so big that knights use them to pummel dragons. But that, of course, is just an exaggeration meant to highlight the festive spirit. There were both the staff were dressed up in fun costumes and also a few patrons too. Yeah, but me and Mom didn't really invest the proper planning for us to be in costume. I'm just glad to have gone to the Renaissance Festival at all. The place being as rural as it was, there was no internet at the place itself, and there wasn't really any internet until we drove back on the way home for a minute or two to get on the roads. What made me not work on the styrofoam blocks on the way back home which was from roughly 6:45 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. On the ride back, I was shirtless because it had been such a hot day today. Before we left for the festival, I had Mom spray on sunscreen, of which I struggle to hold my breath because that stuff has some considerably noxious fumes. At this time, I suspect I may have a small little ligament of turkey leg stuck between my teeth on the top. Toward the middle, but I think leaning on the right of it. Dad got the pizza from Salvatore's. So maybe he went to Salvatore's after work today as a mailman. Out of all the things we did at the Renaissance Festival, me and Mom, we first got and ate the turkey legs. Excuse me. All the parking was on grass, and we were directed by security staff on where exactly to park after paying exactly where to park. And then we got out of the cars to wait in line to get a ticket. Which is about $37 or so with the tax included. It was about $73 total for a ticket for both me and Mom. And after waiting in line for the tickets, we then went in for the gate. After getting the turkey legs and eating them, we went to see a show that featured a sword swallower with some sort of humorous tales involving children, such as saying that swords are fake because, they're not sharp, but they are real swords in that they don't fold together. The nail in the nose thing is sort of part of the street performance. They're doing street performances around the world. In Iceland, Ireland, and involving some humorous tales regarding customs, considering how the bag contains swords. and a tale near the end. And a tale near the end about attempting to sort of sword swallow. It was a dildo, but obviously with children being involved. He just said it as a pink adult object, that sort of thing. And which led to him deep throating a balloon commonly used to make animal balloons. And there was also a tale of an old lady requesting him to make a monkey with that balloon. And he was also involved in an accident which led to a 5-year gap in regards to doing performances. So I guess this year had been the first time he had done sword swallowing performances in a while. We then went to go see a juggler who did spinning plate tricks, other feats of balance and dexterity, involving things that were on fire. He had a unique spin that really helped to genuinely get the audience excited. Torture device number 1, number 2, and number 3 when describing the various objects he juggled at various points in the show, including for the torches, calling this sort of goofy spoof advert about removing unsightly facial hair with the torches and replacing it with nice smooth scar tissue. And then, in another goofy moment, spoofing a sort of work PSA, making everyone solemnly swear to never play with fire. And of course, it's really important to heed that sort of message. A fire is a tool that can be really dangerous if mishandled. And then after the juggling show, we briefly went to a show that I assumed was going to involve a sword duel, that sort of thing. But it ended up being some sort of pickleball, or they called it kick the pickle game, which looked distinctly familiar like badminton to me, between 2 male staff members and 2 female staff members, including the one that dressed as Queen Elizabeth for the Sterling Renaissance Festival. It's the only one we left early. In order to, if I recall correctly, have me do some archery practice for the first time in many years. Have a waffle sundae with the flavor black raspberry. Which I think by that point, there's only one of two flavors they actually had. And by the time we got back from the jousting show, in which there were a few moments in which the knights acted, well, anything but civil, for the whole sake of having funny festival banter. At the start, there was some horseback sword fighting, then jousting, then on foot sword fighting. Those sort of things. We watched from the ground deck of Sir William's pub. We couldn't get any drinks there because, well, not me at least. As I hadn't been able to find my ID in time. Though I do think I at some point found it within a few weeks ago. But I think I kind of lost it again or forgot where I put it. And then lastly, after the jousting show, we went to the Remembrance Shop where I picked out a coffee mug, a stonework handcrafted coffee mug with a previous year's design, as they had no designs for the current year, of which it had been the 45th annual Shirley Renaissance Festival. They'll technically hold it again tomorrow, but I have a platelet donation tomorrow, and Mom also has band practice on that day. Keep weightlifting the log. Orc, you're doing good. If I recall, on Stronghold Kingdoms, I'm currently researching the first level of fishing so that I can at last unlock fishing jetties and produce fish within the Pescado village. I completed the research today that now allows me to have a 6th village, but obviously I haven't gotten there quite just yet. Uh, though this does mean I could purchase the new village charter and move on over to the new Munster parish. But for me to do that, I would have to ultimately decide what kind of village I would want to have there. If I recall, I ate the turkey legs pretty thoroughly. With the turkey legs, I got a plastic glass of Diet Pepsi. In order to drink soda without any real sugar, or calories for that matter. They are safe. Not exactly healthy, obviously not as healthy as this, of course. Well, but they are safe as long as you pace yourself, because a lot of diet soda contains aspartame, which I believe is safe, based on what I've been told, but you gotta pace yourself so it doesn't build up, because if it builds up, then it can be harmful. Yeah, after buying a coffee mug, the first one we picked out had a slight imperfection, a sort of sharp thing near the top. So Mom had us go back into the Remembrance shop, which is located just out of the gate, in order to swap it for one that didn't have that imperfection. We alerted the seemingly only person who was working there, an older female serving as the cashier. We alerted her to the mug, the initial mug we got, and the imperfection Mom discovered, thankfully in time. Excuse me, because it had a sort of sharp thing. It wasn't as big of a deal to me, because I don't think that imperfection would have made the mug unable to hold coffee, but in this way they'll hopefully be able to, as I suggested, sand off the imperfection, so that hopefully someone will be able to buy it and use it safely tomorrow. And the last thing we did before leaving the festival was to try and buy a soft drink, a Pepsi soft drink from one of the two vending machines, stand by stand. They left outside of the gate, but it turns out they weren't even plugged in, so obviously it didn't accept our $1 bills. On the way back, I called Dad a few times, while also listening to Yandere Sim, School Day Variants on the YouTube website through my phone. And I also practiced some Duolingo lessons. First, starting with a couple Duolingo stories. Some of the ones I liked more than others. And then some new Duolingo lessons. Those sort of things. Essentially calling Dad to let him know that we were coming home. First, that we had started the trip back home, and then that we were nearing his apartment. that sort of thing. And it was there that we met the person who had brought in some barking dogs. And to which I just said, as we were walking up the stairs into our apartment room, that barking is just a natural thing that dogs do, to sort of show how I'm not really bothered by it. Yeah, but obviously, some people are. And I sort of ended off that interaction by making a sort of joke about my dad being a mailman. About how the dogs start barking whenever he goes up the stairs, but obviously that's just a sort of stereotype. But they don't seem to bark when I walk up the stairs. And she said that they start barking when anybody walks up the stairs. Oh, and this is how close I came to finishing the styrofoam I started during Mom's last taking me to the knob. Before she came to pick me up from Dad's apartment in order to take me to the Sterling Renaissance Festival. And I have since not done any more work on it yet, but I should be able to finish it by the morning tomorrow. Hopefully.